Take me to the river, or take me to the water. Buenos dias, it's Kaipacha with the last Pele Report in Costa Rica until who knows when. Oh, por Dios, I gotta go down to my favorite spot, my favorite waterfalls. It is the Astrology Report, Astrology for the Soul, September 10th of 2025, and there's a lot going on. Ooh, look at that. Here, see that big bird? Scared her away. Lot going on, right? We had the total lunar eclipse last week, and we're now going to have this third quarter moon on Sunday at 21 degrees, 52 minutes of Gemini, as that sun is in Virgo. And then next week, we're going to have a solar eclipse. So I want to talk about, we're kind of in what we call the eclipse season. And we have to use that as a backdrop, for everything that, is happening within that season. And what is happening? Mars is in Libra, coming into an opposition with Chiron all week, okay? And the moon is coming in to square that, all right, by next Tuesday. And Venus, moving through Leo, is trining Chiron. So we've got a lot, I got a lot to talk about, right? And then next week, I don't need to get into it too much, but by next week, the Sun, Mercury, which they are conjunct, that is exact on Saturday, but the Sun and Mercury are going to come into a beautiful grand trine when they go into Libra. Even at the end of this week, that grand trine with Uranus and Pluto. That kind of fits in a little bit to what I want to talk about today. A grand trine of Sun conjunct Mercury trining Uranus and Pluto. There's a little shot down the river. Get up a little higher. Yeah, baby. All right. So yeah, the moon, Aries goes into Taurus today. Friday goes into Gemini. Sunday is that third quarter square, and then moves into Cancer on Sunday. All right. Let me look at you and talk about it. All right, everybody. How's it going out there in Astroland? Woo! I wonder if you're having as intense a time as I'm having, and as I think we all have been having, because it's the eclipse season. Woo! Yeah, we did a beautiful Embody the Soul workshop here with a DJ, and we danced and came down to the river right here. Got a little baptized, let go of the past. Let's look at that lunar eclipse, because it did bring up a lot of feelings. Feelings need to be felt. Feelings want to be felt. There is important encoded information and understanding and wisdom in our feelings. And that lunar eclipse, the moon, brought it all up. Brought up that inner child that has needs. And these needs are not necessarily rational, logical, explainable. They just are. I'm aroused. I'm angry. I'm disgusted. I'm joyous. They just... So, we're used to dealing with things that are explainable and communicable, and you can talk about it, but, there's also things that just don't lend themselves easily to words. That lunar eclipse brought up the past, the childhood. our memories, our habits, conditioning from childhood. What happened in childhood? What happened with mom? What's going on now with your family, your brothers and sisters? Yeah, and also in your home life, your domestic life. What is your domestic life like? Do you have a sense of belonging? Are you comfortable? Do you feel emotionally connected to your house that makes it a home? Or is it just a house? These are the kinds of, issues that came up. And if they did not come up within you, then somebody else triggered you, or somebody else felt and was going through their process, and their process affected you because it was a full moon. And the opposition always deals with projection and always deals with other people playing a role, right, in the unfolding of our consciousness. And so that past and those feelings, and let's not forget habits, whether it's, any kind of habit that you have, right? The moon rules habits. That all came up in order to be released, in order to be let go. Not to be fixed or resolved, but to just be felt and released. And we've got this 2-week period now from that total lunar eclipse to, this week Sunday when the, third quarter square, and then the moon's going to come around, and this is a south node. So the moon was on her own north node, which makes her very strong. That's why it was so emotional. But now she's coming around to the solar eclipse, and it's on the south node, so the moon is very much weaker compared to the sun. So this solar eclipse, this is the time, the new moon, of starting anew, rebirthing, having let go of the past, having dealt with what needs to be dealt with, released what needs to be released. Now is this time to really go forward as much as we can. We're not really going too far forward until next February when Saturn and Neptune enter Aries and, complete that journey. But so within this context of this 2-week window of initiation, this 2-week window of the need to dive in, explore, feel, delve down into our wound of Chiron. Chiron plays a big role here because Mars opposes, Venus trines, the moon squares. I mean, it's all going on with Chiron, our wounded healer, in Aries. And so, what is this about? I want to use today something that I have done for most of my life. I use the Sabian symbols as an oracle. What you can do is you can ask a question of the oracle, and then you just open the book. If you don't have the book, you can download the PDF from my website and scroll, and boom, where it stops. Okay, that will be the ascendant or the what. So what are we talking about? What is the issue? What's happening? And you read the symbol for that. And then you go 180 degrees opposite, that's the descendant. Where will it lead? And then you go 90 degrees to the IC. How do I work with it? And finally, the MC is why. Why am I going through this? What do I have to deal with? What's going on? What's the story? Right? So you get the what, where, how, and why from the angles Okay? You can do this with your own birth chart. Right? The ascendant, descendant. Then they're not all 90 degrees. Here we're going to go 90, 180, 90, 180, you know, to get that. Yeah? So when we have a T-square, like you can see at the beginning, if you pause the video at the beginning, I drew the chart, and it's got Chiron opposite Mars, both square the moon, all at the same degree, 26 plus degrees of the cardinal signs, Aries, Cancer, Libra. So Chiron is the what? That's Aries. Mars is where it leads, Libra. The moon is how to work with it, okay, in Cancer. And finally, why this is going on is the midheaven. You got that? I mean, it's a little astrological. Might be a little complicated for some of you and is very obvious to others. What are we dealing with? Yeah, it's in the mantra. It's an initiation. Through imagination, a lost opportunity is regained. Revision of attitude and inner reevaluation. This is Aries 27th degree. This symbol makes it clear that the mind that has become overstimulated and obsessed by all it appears to be able to accomplish in some new realm of experience may easily fail. The disciple fails his test, or at least it seems to him that he has failed. Actually, the failure may have been meant by his guru to be a challenge to the emergence of a new capacity. Generally speaking, this capacity is what one calls creative imagination. So this is what's going on. You may be failing. We may be failing. I think I talked about it a couple weeks ago. We are not really these days teaching our children how to fail and how to stand up after you fall and how to come back after you've been beaten. Right? There's this whole kind of thing of even denying that it was a failure. Oh, Charlie, you didn't fail your test. I'll talk to the teacher. We'll straighten this out. I read this article where they're changing the grading system around because so many kids are failing. They're changing the way that they grade tests so they can pass. Oh man, freaking United States, mind blowing. Anyway, so you get this what? It is this, it's this wound of I'm not big enough, I'm not strong enough, I'm just basically not enough, right? And, I have to really struggle to get my needs met. Well, where does this lead? It actually leads to Mars in Libra, right? And that Mars in Libra, of course, wants, Mars is desire and Libra is relationship. So this is a time of initiating relationship, reaching out with other people as mirrors, right? To debate, to talk, and so we're going to run over here to the Libra 27th degree. An airplane sails high in the clear sky. A consciousness able to transcend the conflicts and pressures of the personal life. Here the concept of transcendence comes in, where instead of getting lost in win, lose, success, fail, plus, minus, light, dark, we rise above, we transcend polarity, we transcend conflict. And this is the gateway, this is the doorway, this is what the initiation is really all about. How do we do this? Here's the tricky part. Yeah? Cancer, 27 degrees. A violent storm in a canyon filled with expensive homes. It's a confrontation with a social upheaval, demanding the reconsideration of static values. This time period is challenging some of our basic fundamental values. What is really most important to you? What is most valuable? Is it physical, material, emotional, sexual, intellectual, spiritual? This is the inner search. This is the inner investigation that can really happen here. We've got Jupiter down there in Cancer also. So this is where the moon is for that T-square, right? Very powerful. And then what I love is why? Why all this? Why go into our wounds? Why go into the past? Why talk, talk it out with our partners and whatever. I mean, it's just like, what the bleep? What's the point, man? And here we have, and this is the empty part of the T-square, right? A T-square is fulfilled by that point opposite the apex, yeah? So it's Chiron opposite Mars, square the moon, but then we go up to 27 degrees Capricorn, and if there was something there, Pluto's not that far away, but that would be having to do with the resolution. In this case, the why. Pilgrims climbing the steep steps leading to a mountain shrine. The ascent of the individualized consciousness to the highest realizations reached by the spiritual leaders of its culture. It is our supreme task to rise like fire, impelled by a vision we share with our companions. The key word is up-reaching. I always call the square aspect in astrology creative tension. In this case, the moon square Chiron is not happy. When the moon's happy, Chiron's not happy. When the moon is square Mars, when Mars is happy, the moon's not happy. When the moon is happy, Mars is not happy. And this is like to try to make, Chiron, Mars, and the moon happy. We have to create a bigger reality, a bigger consciousness, a bigger life, a bigger truth. We have to rise out of the box of the square because the problem is not solved at the same level it was created. So we have to transcend, we have to rise up, we have to climb to that mountain shrine. And then we will realize, we will rise above the conflict. Get out of your box. This is a time, baby, to just, step out. Now, what the mantra brings up is the different ways of dealing with this initiation or this test that we're all kind of going through right now. Maybe how we deal with conflict, how we deal with negative emotions, right? This stuff comes up, and what can it do? Well, it can scare us. I'm scared of my own anger. If I get angry, I'm going to take somebody's head off, right? Or, if my partner gets angry, they're going to take my head off. So I am going to, so we have a tendency to shrink, to harden, to cower, to run, fight or flight, right? So there is, when we're feeling, challenged, one instinct is to contract. Saturn. However, if we rise above the duality here and we transcend these lower instinctive subconscious patterns and habits, we really come into this with, a lot of consciousness, then we expand into the contraction. Feel the fear and do it anyway. You're coming up against something that you're afraid of, and you can either contract or expand. The image I got this morning laying in bed thinking about this mantra, downloading this stuff, was miners in a cave. Feel like you're a miner in a cave, right? You got that little headlight. It's the only light, and you're looking for gold, right? You're a gold miner. I mean, just consider that we're in the womb, we're in the cave, the birth canal of Mother Nature, Mother Earth. And we want to go into that cave. We want to explore it. We want to go into Chiron. We want to go into our wound. What is this about? Where does this come from? What is the medicine? What's the lesson? So rather than, oh my God, this hurts, I'm going to, fight it or kill it or run from it or whatever. It's like, no. Have it raise up our curiosity. Curiosity. Sun conjunct Mercury. Mercury rules Gemini. Gemini is curiosity and interest. Let's be curious about our wounds. Let's be curious about what scares us and why am I scared? What fear is that? And where did that fear come from? And and you go into this stuff, and then, right, that consciousness expands, and it's up-reaching. You see what I'm saying? So that by the time we come around to that solar eclipse, boom, it's going to be a Sun, Mercury, South Node, right at the equinox, right? As it's like 29 degrees the next day. The Sun goes into Libra, and we come out, more fully into the world of relationship and society. So it's an exciting time period. Virgo is a sign of initiation. This is a 2-week period of initiation in the, having the eclipses happen. And of course, the Saturn-Neptune going on all year is an even larger planetary initiation. So initiation always isolates you in a way, takes you out of your normal reality, tests you, checks you, brings you, and then finally, boom, you are initiated. You enter the brotherhood, you enter the sisterhood, you enter the, elder, you enter the temple. I mean, wow. So I want to, I encourage all of us to focus on what can result from all of this and not get lost in, in what's happening, but keep our mind's eye on where it's leading and what's possible because it's enlightenment, it's liberation. Ultimately, initiation is liberation. So, we can be liberated at this solar eclipse if we do our inner work these couple of weeks. So more power to you. Yeah, baby. Knowing that this is an initiation from deep darkness into the light, I will stay open, expand, and explore. Not shut down, resist, or continue to fight. You know what I mean? The South Node, the dragon's tail, K2, is flush the toilet, let it go, get rid of the past, erase the chalkboard, wipe off the plate, right? This is let it go. Say goodbye. I am ready to transcend. I am ready to ascend. I am ready to reach up to new heights. And I'm going to expand like a hot air balloon. Boom! I'm going to blow myself up. Ow! Of course, we got to have the song for this week. It's Queen. We are the champions. We are the champions. There's no time for losers, 'cause we are the champions of the world. Yeah, baby. There is a pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. There is a birth after that painful contractions. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. So it's not just hang in there. It's not just try and survive. It's like, bam, I am embracing the crazy wildness of this ride in this body on this planet. Oh my God. What else? I can't forget. I wanted to say that if you didn't know, oh yeah, no, that's all right. So, one more time. Knowing that this is an initiation from deep darkness into the light, I will stay open, expand, and explore, not shut down, resist, or continue to fight. Yeah? May you expand and explore and discover your true soul purpose in this body, on this planet. Ow! Namaste. Aloha. So much light in the tunnel of love. Ciao, ciao.